JPIC, otherwise known as Justice, Peace, and the Integrity of Creation, is an acronym that's gaining quite a bit of acceptance in the world of Catholic social justice organizations. Nowadays, especially with the use of JPIC, it's more understood that the social teachings and the social values that come from the gospel itself are very much an integrated part of who we are. So JPIC no longer refers to the idea of us as a Catholic religious community doing social ministry. Rather, it's suggesting to us that to live the gospel, to preach the gospel, to do all the ministries, whether they're social or parish or ecclesial, all the ministries now must be integrated with this dimension, this social, this cosmological dimension of the gospel.
Father Tom Berry, who died recently and is a Passionist, offered us a real insight into what it means to guard, to guide, to nourish, to nurture the integrity of creation. It's a movement particularly in all the Christian churches, and the Passionists participate in that.
That the social injustice that Jesus suffered at the hands of the Romans and the chief priests still continues within the social structures of our world. And many people, we use the term, are crucified by the injustice of today. So through JPIC, we address the injustices that continue in our day. And based on the Passionist charism, we find meaning in the injustices by addressing them and suggesting that there's a better way, another way is possible.
We believe that the Passionist charism has something to do with focusing on the cross of Jesus, his passion, death, which was a consequence of living his life in obedience to the will of the Father and the reign of God, the reign of his Father. And the consequence of that, because of his actions, because of how he lived, because of both the enemies that he made and the conflict that he caused, that his death was the consequence of it. So his entire life is the entire death is the consequence of justice and peace and living with integrity and calling the world back to some kind of right relationship. And so if the Passionists are to be true to the passion of Jesus, is not only remembering the sorrow of Jesus or the agony of Jesus, it's remembering what caused it. And it was caused because of a person who lived in complete obedience to the reign of God, which is a reign of justice and peace and integrity, of being at peace with all of creation, the original vision that the scriptures give us. And so the Passionist charism is only understood if we practice justice, peace, and the pursuit of integrity for all of creation.
The Passionist charism is one that seeks to be mindful of the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And in our own time, the charism has developed, as it should, according to the historical circumstances of our situation. And one of the things that it's very responsive to is suffering. But one of the things that it has to avoid is being focused on suffering. What the ultimate focus is resurrection. What the ultimate focus is the renewal and the enlargement of life. And I think that's going to be the challenge of the Passionist charism as we move on into this century.
We have to act. If we don't act for justice, if we don't act to make the world more peaceful, if we don't act on behalf of the earth and befriending the earth, then it just becomes another exercise in talking. So here, you know, in Brooklyn, the Passionists have been involved, for example, in community organizing. We help the community to act, come together to organize, to claim their own right, to build their own future. And so we're standing on the waterfront here in Williamsburg and Greenpoint, which was rezoned several years ago. And the city of New York was going to rezone it and change it from an industrial area to an area where there'd be housing. But the plan called for no affordable housing. It was going to be simply a row of luxury housing for those that could afford it, and completely excluding the majority of the working class. So through organizing, through bringing hundreds and hundreds of people together, through bringing churches together, through having the theory that as Christians we needed to operate for justice, we needed to include, we needed to remember those that were most vulnerable, we formed a very powerful organization that was able to advocate and pressure the city of New York to create a new plan. And in that plan, more than 20% of the waterfront here will be affordable housing for people and families that could, or seniors that could have never been included. So people who are millionaires living next to people who are driving taxis in New York City, and they'll live side by side in integrated communities, and that's the result of acting on the behalf of justice, acting with communal power, collective power, but always inspired by the vision of Jesus, that this world is meant to be inclusive, it's meant to be a place of justice, of peace, of integrity, and that's when creation is most fully alive, when those values are enfleshed. And so this is one example of how we can act together, how the Passionists have acted together, and how we've acted together collectively to make this a reality.
How do we invite others into our Passionist perspective of justice, peace, and integrity of creation? Well, we're going to have to be very, very intentional about inviting other people. And second, by discerning where our Passionist values of justice, peace, and integrity of creation meet the values of other individuals or perhaps maybe other institutions.
To try to exercise this spirituality means that, first of all, that we firm up our network of contacts to keep broadening our horizons, whether it's in terms of activities or it's in terms of thinking or it's in terms of praying, to broaden our horizons. And I would hope that our website would be able to make a healthy contribution to that.